Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Welcome to Ask Rob and Rob. We are back once again to answer your property questions. 2 good ones coming up today, but the show only really works if you keep your questions coming in. So if you do have something on your mind, here's how you send it our way.
Well, it's all in one simple, convenient place. If you want our telephone number, if you want the Times link, or you want to leave a message through the computer, go to propertyhub.net/ask, and you can decide which medium you would like to use. Luckily, we've had a wonderful person leave us a question, and this wonderful person is called Deck.
Hi Rob and Rob. If you had a second property paid off and valued at £200,000, how do you feel would be the best approach? Would you look to continue renting out and maintaining this property, or potentially looking at selling and then following a lock away a lump sum and watch it grow strategy? So for example, purchasing 4 properties valued at £170,000 with a deposit of around £42,000 to £45,000 on each. And if so, how would you recommend going about the mortgage? Would you stick to an interest only, or would you look to make a full repayment? Thanks for any support you guys can give.
Deck, thank you for your question. So this is an interesting position because you have a property with no mortgage on, and because of that, you have options. Now, the option you've suggested is not what I would go for. So you've suggested selling the property, using that money to then go and buy 4 different properties with a mortgage. But I say to you, why not approach this in a different way, but still achieve the same thing you want, which is to remortgage the property that you currently own and then use that to buy more properties. Now, this comes with a few warnings and caveats. You need to check your numbers. You need to make sure that those investments that you do are going to pay off the interest on that loan that you will take out. But don't let that put you off. Once you've done that process and it all looks like on paper it's going to work out from a finance point of view, then go for it. Because I know lots and lots of people who've done this and done it very well, and they've used leverage to their advantage. And the reason I would recommend at least considering that approach rather than selling a property to expand your portfolio is that when you sell a property, you're going to incur a lot of costs and time. So it's going to take you a reasonable amount of time to sell that property, unless you put it at a low price to get it gone quickly. And it's also going to cost you money as well. So there's going to be transaction costs. There's probably going to be tax to be paid. So it's not the most efficient way of going about this process. Now, if you remortgage, and let's say you remortgage at 75%, so you take £150,000 out, you won't have quite as much as before, but then you're not going to have that tax burden. You're not going to have the time burden, and you still can expand your property portfolio. And maybe you just add 3 more properties to your portfolio and have 4 in total, but you haven't had the hassle and the cost of selling. So for me, this is a spreadsheet job. You need to look at the property you've got, how well it's performing. If it's a nightmare property, then fair enough, get rid. But if it's a decent property in a decent area that's performed reasonably well for you over the years, then I would consider keeping it, get a spreadsheet out, look at how much that remortgage would cost you, look at what the monthly repayments would be, and look at how you could put that money to work in different buy-to-lets. And obviously use leverage on those as well. And you really start to snowball that portfolio. But while that all sounds exciting, the first place to start is with a spreadsheet and working out those numbers. So a little bit of a boring job before you get to do the exciting stuff.
I'm going to pretend you haven't just said that playing with a spreadsheet is boring and move on to our second question from Claudine.
Hi Rob and Rob, this is Claudine. I previously bought 2 properties through a limited company, one in Wakefield and one in Selby. Both are tenanted, have been tenanted since I bought them 2+ years ago. I would like to close my limited company now and kind of go a little bit more out of the matrix, off grid. My question is, with the changes in the Rental Reform Act, is it better for me to move the tenants out and then sell the properties, or to sell the properties with tenants in situ to other investors? Love to get your thoughts on that. Thanks so much. Bye.
Escaping the matrix and going off grid. How exciting. Well, if you decided to sell, I would say that the Rental Reform Act is a bit of a red herring because that's not going to play into anything you do now. We still don't know exactly what form it's going to take or when it's going to happen. Progress is slow. So what you've got is the dilemma that investors have always had, which is, do you sell with tenants in situ or not? And the answer really comes down to a couple of things. So the first is whether you can afford to sell the property vacant. So if you remove the tenants, then you're not going to have any income from that property for the entire time that you're selling, and you're still going to have your mortgage costs if you've got a mortgage, plus you'll have the council tax and other bills. And you'll have those expenses for however long it takes the property to sell, which could easily be 6 months or more by the time it's all gone through. It also puts you under a bit more pressure to sell quickly, so you might need to be a little more competitive with the pricing. So can you afford that is the first consideration. The second is the type of property. So if you had a typical family home, then I'd pretty much always say if you could afford to, then sell it vacant because it opens you up to the widest possible range of buyers, many of whom will want to live there and will want to move in straight away, not have to deal with suddenly owning a buy-to-let and then asking those tenants to leave so they can move in. So that will allow you to maximise the sale price. If you've got more of an investor type property, then it's still true that you'll have the widest possible market by selling it vacant, but you're probably more likely to sell to an investor anyway. So it's not as important. So it really is a trade-off, and it's impossible to say which is going to be best. But as a general rule of thumb, I would say that to maximise your potential sale price, you should sell it vacant, but that does come with some costs. So if that doesn't work for you, then you can take heart in the fact that there are investors who are very attracted by properties that come with tenants in situ. I'm one of them because I love the fact that I get rental income from day one. So it's not the easiest market to be selling into in either case, but nevertheless, you should be able to make either of those options work for you.
Sounds good. You know what else sounds good? The Property Podcast on a Thursday. So make sure you join us for that and pick up the Sunday Times to see our weekly column. You can find that in the home section each week, which is very exciting. Make sure you check that out. So until those lovely events take place, take care, have fun. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.